So we're going to start this off with 2 scriptures here that I think are going to go into something that we're going into here. I have a video that I put up on Facebook just not too long ago about men being able to vote first. So we're going to read these scriptures. We're going to go into that. But before I do, because I've already had my little snap off when I heard it. And it's nothing against the people that was doing the video. It's just the word. I'm talking about the words. First of all, I want to go ahead and read these scriptures, okay? And then I want to, oh, wait, no, because I wanted to go into Genesis 1. When God let the earth join with the earth. This is the earth, American Indians, that autochthonous ones, the first peoples of this land, that they joined the earth with the earth, meaning they took other people from different portions of this earth and brought them in on them. If I think about the best thing I can think about, because I did a video on this, especially in South America, but I feel like it's the same narrative in America. They just didn't want you to see it that way. Because when we read in that book that the African race that came in here were never supposed to rise no higher. So again, it says a nation can rise no higher than its woman. That's what Farrakhan likes to say. But Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam represent the diaspora Africans. Some of us have that in our family, but that's not us, right? Some of us are the autochthonous ones that are the pure-blooded white Indian people that don't have nothing to do with your color. It's about being that purebred Indian or Indian or savage or whatever, okay? So it made me think about them not being higher. So that means that these people were never supposed to get jobs in our judicial system. That means that the houses that could have been stolen from some of us could be physical homes, but they could also be like the house, the judicial, the Congress, the Senate, these houses, okay? So they were never supposed, but then again, if we think about that, never rise higher than his woman, okay, well, the Americas used to be a matriarchal society. The roles were reversed at one point in time. Okay, I kind of equated a little bit to some parts in the southwest, or some of these places. I equated to like Superwoman, you know, how they had that secret land with just women there. Okay, and they made it with these men and had children and bore children with them, but they had their own thing going on. It's also making me think about The Walking Dead when they found that colony of just women that they didn't want people to know where they were or what they did or anything like this. Okay. So it made me think about when the earth joined with the earth. What we're not realizing is in these slave movies, they gave us a narrative of a white man sitting on top of that horse. But when we go back to the videos that I did thoroughly, video got to be about an hour or 2 hours long on these different darker races, to find out that those were not your family members that were whipping you on a post. That was the actual overseers that worked for the slave master, like the man in the middle. So when people in the tarot community talk about, oh, somebody is overseas today, more than likely these are people of these African cultures or different foreign cultures that are having an oversight on you. They're putting you in your place. They are overseeing something. They're working with other energies to see how they're going to conduct or handle these leftover elephant energies or old world energy bloodlines here, okay? So again, while we're sitting here, okay, we're not going to get into it. Let's just talk about it, okay? So when we see that element here of a white man on top of the horse, more than likely these were those nautical groups of African maritime energies that were possibly coming into our tribes and blending in. If we even think about ancient Egypt before the 16th dynasty or the 1600s, in my eyes, we were talking about these people that came from these lands here in America that are, it's not that many of them left. You see? Because I'm even thinking about the whole thing of Game of Thrones and me being the I am Daenerys. I am also Sansa. I am also Jon Snow. Now, whether I am a twin of Jon Snow's and we share the same type of energy, or this is what this is, because again, remember, that was just like a pop-up that came, that this energy was, you know. this strange child that was born that didn't know. That's kind of like the narrative of what somebody's trying to feed me or what spirit is trying to show me. Now again, if nobody came in and told you this and they went ahead and told somebody that you were married to or told a group of people this behind your back to try to get a false narrative or a different narrative to come on, I told you Jon Snow is almost like a somewhat of a Christ energy to me. Just like Daenerys being hung on the cross or turned to ashes or whatever and rising from the ashes. Sansa represents, I feel like, the women that stayed and they didn't bow down to the man like Jon Snow did. All right. Or somebody would have thought that they did or he did. But again, some of these people had to run. See, we could have a male version of somebody that ran and left his woman behind and she had to sit there and suffer these things. So when they're talking about this, the reason why these men got this right to vote, because they had to go into the trenches and go in France or whatever. Like some of these places are pockets in this same land here, and some of them are in distant lands. But what I'm realizing is these men got to go. They might worked hard or whatever, but would have been that hard to work if they would have took their woman with them. They got to go and learn different things or see things from a different, higher, elevated aspect. The woman stayed behind and got abused and tortured and raped and molested and poked and prodded by scientists, and her walls being ripped out, or while they have these feminine energies that are over you in a third party situation that are usually foreign women or foreign cars that are amped up with some type of technology or some sauced up with some kind of AI or something to give them an overhand or upper hand. And these women were jealous of these American women. We did a whole video on that shit too I did a refresher last year about the American woman versus the foreign women, okay? And they brought their cultures that we didn't understand, their warlock abilities, their witchcraft, their voodoo, and all this shit over here, and use it on us. Their words, their ways of working with the womb. Some of these people are also have intelligence of alien forces and races and shit like this that they deal with to know how to handle the so-called black woman's womb. So when they saying all these so-called black women are dying of childbirth, okay, this could be birthing your nation. They could be doing things to amplify irritation or something like this to get you to lash out or something to try to stop you. But what I'm saying is they dealing with the forever motherfucker that's here now. See, it ain't nothing they gonna be able to do this time. See, this could be also, like I said, people could be talking about, women actually in the hospital having a baby and dying. That could be also them taking your children off and giving them to African women or other women or these other women or transgenders that can't bear children. And so that's what's happening here. If a lot of people are dying in the hospital. But if we're talking about the other aspect of this, your lands, your resources, whatever is supposed to be coming to you, your trust funds, all these things after they kill you. Now, see, Janice said that you can't take somebody's trust fund. You can't plot on them and kill them. Yeah, you can't, but you can get their husband to do it. You can't, but you can get their family to do it. You can't, but you can get a stranger to do it. You understand what I'm saying? All right? And then once that person is gone, you can get your hands on it, can't you? See? So some of these people have made this got something to do with trafficking, I feel, too. Some of this shit, this what they got a hand on. The difference between me being set apart is because I'm going to always stand for America. I am fucking America, okay? And these people are going to have another alternative agenda. If I don't sit in that spot, then I can't go with them, but they're not supposed to be there because whatever they're doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's like, how are you telling me you're not? If I don't take a stand, okay? Stand just came out in those cards, okay? And I think some of the scriptures that we're going to read have something to do with a stand, okay? Then that's the way it's going to be. This determines the way that this shit is going to go from now on, okay? This means that we have let a race that were supposed to be not subjugated to slavery forever, but they were supposed to be sitting in the corners of society, right? Doing their thing, But the thing that they were doing, though, like Martin Luther King said, that the African is sitting in the anguish and in the corners because they always wanted to pounce on the Americans and take away some type of power from them. But if you want that type of power, take your ass back to Africa and get it there. Why are you coming here trying to take it from the American? It ain't happening on my watch. It ain't happening on my watch. So they've been waiting to pounce. It's kind of making me think about back in the day, a couple years ago, we were saying, people were saying, why was these celebrities, all this time when a celebrity get to their retirement point, like some of these so-called black men or whatever, once they get to a certain level in there, when they're, probably done doing movies, they're, they always end up marrying a so-called Caucasian woman. This was a trend. We just talking about it because this is what was being shown to us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nobody got to make it up. If somebody did a poll right now on how many so-called black men in their 60s or 70s or over 50, that card came out last night, have stopped being in the scene. They might have had a black woman with them at first, like I'm gonna say like a Denzel, but I don't know who he's married to right now. I'm just using, these are popular. I'm not gonna name these people because I can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not all into their business like that right now. So, but I'm just saying, like, this is who I say is like an A1 celebrity or something. You normally see them, this was a trend that was going on, or what they were showing us, or what we were seeing. That these people end up getting upper in age, and they would be married to a so-called white woman. Now, and when he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. So that's kind of showed up in that read. Somebody get the blessings, and then somebody get turned into a puppet. Okay, so this masculine, even they could be transforming this person mentally, physically, putting them under MK Ultra to marry or be with a Caucasian woman or something, or prefer. Somebody could be doing that to me a little bit as well. I don't know why. Marrying somebody's asking why don't people marry outside of their race or something like this. But it's certain things that we have to understand, that in those movies that we seen, them slave movies, the couple that we did get, okay, that the narrative was a little bit twisted. On these plantations, they was also bringing in they were using the babies of the American Hebrew women. They wanted to drink the milk of the woman, the American woman. Maybe something name was like Hattie or something. But at some point in time, they brought in these African versions of servants, because we would have been prisoners of war. We wasn't never slaves in my race, but we were still under the thumb of someone here, mentally, physically, emotionally, otherwise. It's a difference between, I did a video on this and broke it down. It's a difference between a prisoner of war, somebody that's in servitude, a slave, a Slavic person. So when they say the first slaves were Slavic people, well, yeah, we see that, like, the Irish or Ellis Island or something, these people or something that was brought in are Slavic nations. But let's not forget about the so-called white Indians. That would be pure-blooded Indians that could have dark skin, that were brought into servitude or something like this. We'll just say servitude or prisoners of war in their own land. But we did have a version of so-called white slavery, the people that were coming over here trying to get into the lands, and they got shipwrecked or they got taken in by tribes or something like this. You can even talk about the 1600s or the 16th century. They were brought, if you think about the caste system of the Pharaoh was at the top. Everybody that was in the underworld or the Sheol or the Dalit or that kind of area, they mixed everybody that was in that lower race in there. It didn't matter what color you were. Okay. But when it comes to ancient India, they had a bat with colorism. Okay. And they still have it today over there, where they separate the darker version of Indian people, and they usually live more in smaller than the others. Okay. So they separated their lower classes by color, with using colorism. That could be the paper bag test here, stuff like that or whatever, okay? But like I said, that could have been a mistake, though, also in the 1690s, because everything was changed after that. Everything was changed, altered to a sense. And then it's just even making me think about Native Americans being created offspring of those particular people. And that would turn around and be people that will be killing. I put these quotes up within all through my whole time when I come up with it. Last year, sometime I put this up about how these Native Americans were attacking or killing off these, or doing whatever they were doing with these white Indians. But like I said, these were the people that actually still have the standing, though, the oldest races before the Native Americans. I've done videos on the difference between Native Americans, indigenous people, autochthonous ones, the earth, all of it different, specifying these different things. So I'm not just somebody that's sitting here talking. I did the research, I've done the work. Okay. So we just have to remember that narrative that these overseers were more than likely probably even what you could call I'm not saying that it was never a so-called white man as an overseer, and that's why you could see the house slave in the field, the slaves in the field, and on some of these movies when somebody end up telling what's going on, we get all this shit kind of mixed up or whatever, like the house nigga or the whatever other type of um energy would be, like that person that you would see on that horse that had that whip. Okay, we just have to be able to look at it that way. If you want to keep with the narrative of that it was just only white men doing that, okay, but I'm telling you right now that it wasn't, and it wasn't necessarily your people. The reason why they looked at you the way they did is because they was others. Okay, so I think I wanted to get that narrative straight. But it was the milk and honey that came from the American Hebrew women, the American Indian. Those was the babies they wanted at their feet. Now, the other one, the Africans that I'm talking about, they could have partnered with them. They trusted them to go off the plantation. They didn't know the land like we did. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. When they talk about, they didn't want they didn't want the black people to read. They said they didn't want you to read. They didn't say that you couldn't read. You understand? Some of these movies we saw with the little boys that a lady would take a liking to him and let him read books or learn how to read, but he better not never say nothing. You know what I'm saying? They said that they didn't want you to read, but in these movies, they showing you some black person trying to struggle to read. You already knew. We talk about these races that who brought in the material, the Arabics or whoever, taught or knew this information first. It still all came from the same people. And if we think about the Egyptians taking the information or the brains out of the people when they died, that's just like me right now. If they got me labeled as black or dead, then these people could use alien races or other materials, things that's left over from wars, to come in here and start taking my intellectual property, to come in here and do something to my brain or suck information, plasma or something. Do you understand what I'm saying? Tissue from my breast and seal it back up like nobody never been here. You might just wake up with a little pain here and there, not knowing where it came from. Motherfucker might need a kidney. And there's all these people in the world, but they don't want it from them people in the world. They want it from your motherfucking ass. So I'm just saying. Okay? It's a difference. We can't go around here and try to act like it's not no difference. It is. It's a lot to learn that the American Indian so-called Negro, whatever we're talking about, the breed that I am, they're not the same. These other breeds of people or entities or beings or human beings or man or human, or we could just keep chopping it up. People is all means different things, but almost damn near the same. It's trying to separate who is who without being obvious. Because women, like I said, I could only imagine that when we talk about women being able to vote, women were already voting. So what women were we talking about? Because in etymology, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to share the version that's coming from my phone online. But I know they be trying to be tricky and change up what it means on the internet when you look at etymology for certain words, and then you might look on your phone and you might get a little bit more intel. But I can guarantee you that if you go through my feed or use somebody that used to walk with me on my channel, we already pointed out that women, or the word woman, could mean men, women, and children. So that is almost like a race of people. So when we talk about women or foreign women or women in some sense, the women, I think, that could not vote was these people that was coming over into our lands. So when we talk about the book of Isaiah and these particular books, you can see a misogynistic energy. But what do I always say? Let's break this down. Is this misogynistic against the womb woman in general, like anybody with a womb, or is this misogynistic? Is this somebody trying to take the last stand? Because I think they talk a lot about Astereth, and it's either Isaiah or Isaiah. I can't remember what else book I always say is kind of chauvinistic, but they always talk about the Astereth trees. The Astereth is that feminine energy that was the most powerful being here. She had husbands. Husbands didn't have her. See, they don't like us to go back that far. That might be the energy that I'm standing in, and that's why these people are acting the way that they acting towards me and my two twin flames that I started out with, my two goats or my two lions or lionesses that would be standing by my side. One was dirty, one was clean. If we go back to that book, that video I did about 3 years ago on Astereth of America, it was really the squabble between the two men that started to have the problems. It kind of makes me think that people is all down with polygamy until they see a female leading a pack of men in polygamy. Do you understand what I'm saying? But there was a burial, some type of burial or something where they had the one king was a lesser king than the other king, and then she was the Astereth, most high energy. So if we go back to that Arnaldo Montanus image, that infamous image that we were passing around in the indigenous community with the woman standing on top of all different classes of men. A robust, big-calved woman, a big-boned woman standing in that shell, almost like manifest destiny. A warrior empress standing above them all. The animals, the plants, the man, the white man, the dark man, she was standing on top of all of them. But she looked masculine, but it was a woman. That could also represent the masculinity in a woman like me. Now, in the past, I feel the past 440 years, something like this, they've been getting these women to change their appearance to a man in order to fit in this criteria. But God didn't create me for that. God created me to stand fully all in that power, looking exactly how I am. Now, I feel like I'm somebody that was formed by source with many different strands of DNA through kings of king of pops, king of kings, king of all the shit, okay? And so, again, there's something in my blood that's just not, it's not the same. Now, I didn't know this all my life, but I guarantee you that some of these star energies or elevated energies, I know they know. But this is the whole thing, to take this energy down before I know, or before I can plead my case, or to try to get into my home and possibly even use my own spouse or the families or something like this to get close to me, to defile me, to let somebody possibly drug and rape somebody, to try to record somebody in the bathroom and act like you are somebody that don't have standards. Now, I'm not saying nothing about nobody that chooses to do that. A woman should have the right to choose that she want to use her body and share her body. Hell, one day I might do it, I might not, whatever it is. But up until this point in my life, I've had no reason where I would have to solicit my body in any motherfucking way to anybody but who I'm intimate with or my spouse. But this is the shootings that we're talking about. This is the way that they're able to defile you or make you less than or make you not worth something. So if somebody's drugging these women while these men are off partying with these other women or these foreign women learning how to steal everything or collect everything that's owed to you, and then they end up sometimes killing these men on that or killing the part of their mind to remember while they're on that path. And then you have a whole nother foreign entity here on this land that don't give a fuck about the people on this land. Do you understand what I'm saying? When African people come to America, they tend to stick to themselves or they stick to Caucasian people and they sit up there with them. You don't see them in the community with no damn niggas trying to build nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to look at the aspect. This is nothing prejudice. This is just calling it what it is. I don't care what nobody say. I'm here to give you, I'm trying to tell you, I'm here to give it to you like it is. You don't see that. Just like you don't see white people breaking their neck to go over in the hood most times to set up something for some niggas here in America, but they will break their neck to go over there and do something for somebody in Africa And then when they get there, they shut their mouth, they sit down. A motherfucker might be doing a spell or ritual on you. They might just say, sit right here. We're going to grab these beads and we're going to do this to you. And we're going to do, and the white person just be sitting there like, oh yeah, this is going to be so fun. They could put a whole fucking spell on you and you brought that shit back and infested your whole community with whatever the fuck been put on you. You understand what I'm saying? This is what the fuck it is, and this is what it's going to always be until somebody realize what we talking about. Don't nobody question it. But in the hood, you up in, again, this is just what we've been seeing and what we've been shown and what we've been told. How you feel at the core, I've never experienced any of these things. So again, you don't say that I'm trying to be any kind of way, because I'll tell you, I never had no problem really with police harassing me, maybe once or twice. You know, I'm not nobody that's sitting here talking about, oh, we can't do nothing without the police. No, I know also that my people can bring these energies. You can't have shit sometimes. You see what I'm saying? People like, oh, the police are always showing them. Well, look how the fuck we acting out here after the club, or y'all acting. That's what brought the police here, not because of your skin color. You know, I'm someone who is very, like, I don't care who get mad. I'm going to tell you what I'm telling you, and that's just the way it's going to be. You don't have to take it that way if you don't want to. My people get mad at me with some of the shit that I say sometimes about taking accountability or really going a little bit deeper. Because we've been blaming the so-called only white man for a long time, and ain't shit changed, really. Now, it might be covered up or swept under the rug or calmed down, but we had to get to the center of this, of the Tootsie Pop. And there's some chocolate in there. So, this is what I'm saying. You to the point where you numb. You don't even realize warfare when you see it. And you'll even go against your own person or your own Messiah, just like you always do. And gravitate towards something foreign or something else, something new or something. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. So when this man say in this video that, you know, about men or women or why they had the right to vote first, we could have possibly been talking about collective energy of people here being man, because you'll see in the etymology that man could mean woman, woman mean man, vice versa. So we're talking about a collective group of people that was already, now we didn't just brought in a new. Now God promised not to have another flood, but the Lord, which could be a president or a leader, chose otherwise. They let a flood of people come in here. They could have did this in the 70s or 60s. Let a flood of people come in, and these is the people's kids that end up in the neighborhood with you that you always thought was a little bit different, or they kind of treated you a little bit different. And you just thought that they was just so-called black kids that live in the same community with you. Just like I said, when it comes to the killings of so-called black people, is it black people killing each other in the hood? Or is it another race of so-called dark-skinned people that joined with the earth and they've been cleansing? Is this ethnic cleansing that was being done? Because most so-called black people that's from America, the meek race or whatever, we not really killers like that. No matter what we going through, we know how to make a party, have fun, jive around. People sit on the corner, they might waste time. But again, some of these people are not created, or they don't have it in them to be killers or on guerrilla warfare. It's not, you know, if you were born in the 80s and shit like this, you know what I'm talking about. If you go ahead and admit it to yourself. But you got drawn into some kind of club or something, just like presidents, just like leaders, just like people in the hood. They get drawn into some kind of club, and all of a sudden, you understand what I'm saying? But it starts at home, them not getting something at home or something like this. And then they go out and they get into these things, not thinking about the ins and outs of it until it's too late. Blood in, blood out, whatever this is. Twist and shout, that could be, again, what some of us are going through. They're trying to amp you up. They're trying to twist you up, and now you shouting, or it seems like you're angry or something. They're like, oh my God, look at this angry person. You know what I'm saying? But we have to look at the whole thing of this thing. And we have to add everybody in. You can't just be the white man, because you ain't never going to get down to the truth. Some of these people are just crabs in a barrel. They happy to see that somebody else been able to come in here and take you down, because they couldn't stand your black ass. You understand what I'm saying? They couldn't stand the anointing or the light they could see on you that you never could see on yourself. Even though you treated these people just like you. Sometimes you treated these people better than you treated yourself. Or you treated them as equal, or you never looked at them no different. But the whole time you didn't know that in their subconscious, they looking at you different. And they waiting for that day where they can war against God. because there's a different essence there. When police kill us and they put that shit on the, and they want you to hoop and holler and everything, you do just a perfect job of what they want. Get you all emotional, because a lot of people haven't healed on the inside. So first thing you do when you hear me saying anything, what I'm about to say on here gonna piss you off, is gonna make you start, you know what I'm saying, getting in your feelings. You get in your feelings. This is anybody. This is most people. LGBTQ, all some other races of people. Well, okay, I won't say this. I have to say one thing about Caucasian people. I don't think that they really get in their feelings like that, but they kind of, you know, they would have to have an ulterior like it would have to be a Caucasian woman that's LGBTQ now. She would have to be a feminist too, or something, or a hippie too, you know, for these people to kind of, you know, if they're fighting for a cause. But you can't be really fighting for nothing if you're getting in your feelings, if you can't hear all sides of the story, if you can't go ahead and dig a little bit deeper. But we know that because there's stuff been piled up on our race, even when it don't have something to do with our race. It could have been, like I said, a secondary race that been in here doing this shit. And we get, you know, when you feel like everything, you know, you doing right or something like this, or you trying, everything else is piled up on you. You can tend to try to over explain yourself, or do something like this or whatever. Okay. And that could be, that can get you in your emotions. If you know that you're a good person and everybody coming around you trying to tell you how horrible you are, and you're like, what part of me are you saying? I know who I am, and I don't do that or whatever. So, you know, you could get in your feelings that somebody out blatantly lying on you, and just because it's 1,000 people pointing their fingers at you, you know, you thinking like, how did this even happen? I'm not nowhere like what these people are saying. And you could get, you know, angry or get aggressive or something trying to explain yourself, okay? Some of these plants were planted in your family. Some of your family members are not your family members. They've been cloned, or they already went and navigated out of here, and then a clone version or a foreign version of that person. Like again, somebody, like when we talk about Papa was a Rolling Stone and these men was being, I seen it on the damn census. They were being taken from place to birth children in different well, we could say plantations, and then we could also say just like different jurisdictions. So there could be a whole nother lineage of your people in another, you know, with a different last name in a whole nother place, that all them children was a product of your grandfather or something too. You know, it's a lot of shit that was being done that's low key, that we really don't look at it that way. The women were also being moved from like jurisdiction to jurisdiction to birth children as well. Now, again, the women might have had a little bit of help from the higher galactic beings, because you might have birthed children that you didn't even know that you birthed children by your produce or your eggs or your, you know. So that's like a motherless child. These people would have been bred or raised by a whole nother family, a whole nother last name, a whole nother, you know, you might have always felt like you was different or something like this amongst these family members. And some of these bloodlines that came into your family, that like somebody that had a baby with your uncle or your auntie or something like this, it's a reason why those bloodlines came in. It's a reason, it's a reason, it's a reason, it's a reason, it's a reason. It's a reason why you feel like nothing's moving for you. You doing the most work. You touched by the most high. But everybody else is, you know, it ain't nothing to get angry or jealous about, like it says in the Bible. But you can, when you see that going on, and, you know, it's just, it could be moving here. But this is just like, I'm just breaking down these things so you could kind of feel where I'm coming from, how my mind works, and what we about to do, because we're going to go ahead and go through this woman and man definitions again. And then we're going to go ahead and see, and we could pick up on just as in this, with the spiritual level here on what we sensing and knowing, and see what we really talking about in this day and age. Because, and I know in the indigenous community, when they're talking about these overseers, or somebody might be overseas, these is people that want to be over you. Mainly, it's probably these African people that are ready to pump. They done tired you out with spell work and all this other shit, and breaking up your family and everything like this, taking your man, cloning you, your children. You're finding out some of your children might not even be yours. There might be an accident with a man that been dealing with another woman, and you carried that child, and they took your child and killed it or sacrificed it or gave it to somebody else. You had to to leave you a shell of a man or a woman. And I'm saying a man here. Some people, again, you may not know when you were younger that they could have removed your phallus in the hospital. You could be a whole fucking man. but because they knew who you was going to be one day, they knew people wouldn't take you seriously built as a woman. And so this could be also what this is a product of as well. They would put list or lift somebody else up in that position and make it seem like them, but you got the knowledge to shut it down without being around none of these people. And then contact you probably ain't had a phone call in 4 years. You ain't been around none of these people, nothing, and you know what the fuck is going on. See, that's what sets you apart, or me. So somebody can tell you, oh, you just acting correct, but no, what I'm doing right here is shutting it down. Regardless of what you think is gonna start toppling down the house of cards or whatever they built all around by the truth being exposed. People can fight it. Maybe some people might shake it off and they might wake up from this slumber that they in with this green shit or these chemtrails flying around in the air, keeping you docile or mixed up or confused. That might even be having you honor somebody else other than who you're supposed to be honoring, or working with somebody else other than who you're supposed to be working with. Like Prince said, the chemtrails, then everybody start acting crazy. You understand? So being gassed and stuff, that could be exactly what's happening. If these men been lifted and taken out of homes and a clone being put there and the wife is still there, this is what I'm saying. She stood her ground. So that's why we can't be talking about the American woman that been sitting right next to her man going through this. And sometimes when she thought she was sitting right next to him, she wasn't. These men, what we talking about here, was out tricking off, having orgies, partying, spending money, lavish lifestyles, private flights, probably flights on Air Force One real quick to meet with the president so they can tell you more secrets about you or get close to you by getting close to this person. Do you understand what I'm saying? These motherfuckers wasn't going off to no war, from what I sense and what I know from last year, 2 years ago. They was going in the community laughing, probably watching you on the camera and shit like this, coming back home to you, not telling you that that's what the fuck the community was doing against you. Because they knew that they found some bitch with a big booty or something in that group that they felt good with. And, you know, they this is probably somebody that slept around, but not that much. You know, so they got all these holes on them now, jocking them. And now somebody, they might have felt like they didn't have friends because they was married to you and just going to work every day. And now they have all these people that's pretending to be their friends, but they just wanted to deter them away from the real goal, from being the most powerful motherfucker in the world with their actual wife that they just left at home and gave to the streets. So the key that they had to get to you, access to you, could be now in the hands of just some any day motherfuckers. Like, that's what the fuck you are. You remember on them slave movies when they, you know, they could give off a female on the plantation, but when it came to, you know, Harriet or something like this, a motherfucker like, nah, you ain't fucking with Harriet. That's my Harriet, and I don't share my Harriet with no fucking body. Remember the car we just saw with the Corvette, the red car? Okay, the red car, because again, the health also risk that could be happening when those women was being slept with by other men or something like this on a plantation at these parties and stuff. You run a risk of soiling your most valuable possession. Now, somebody could be trying to reduce you down to a diamond or something like this, like they talk to you like, oh yeah, it's certain stuff that no, you took that oath of silence against me. So I would be the only one that wouldn't know what the fuck is going on. Now, whether you change your mind and felt bad about it later on, that's what that whole silence and what we talking about is. In the community, in the Hollywood, that's what the fuck it is. Because these people wanted to slowly take over something, that an empire that belonged to me, and they didn't want to work for me. See, even though the blessings or whatever came from God or the Son of God or their connection or them being touched by somebody or something like this, some of these people, not all of them, but some of them, you see, they do the work of the wicked. I feel bad because I feel like they use science or something to disconnect somebody's third eye, and you could be actually going against people that were once wanting to help you, but I can't see it now. Then they should understand. They should understand the situation, and that's just it. Because you'll read even about queens that they said, oh, this queen, at first everybody was going against this person. It was people attacking her and everything like this, but then she thought it was everybody. Well, I feel like that ain't a thought. That's a knowing. Because regardless of what the people think, some of these entities had certain knowledge. So that's how they hurry up and try to call you schizo, or hurry up and try to get while they're doing this spell work, or they're doing this, you know, got you on like a a two of pentacles, like a ship going back and forth to and fro, to try to get some analyzing you mentally, from a distance, to put some kind of case or some type of illness on you that you don't have. Because none of these, and first thing is they jealous of the information that you have, but then again in 2023 they can just come and take a little chunk of your memory or thought and put it in another motherfucker, and they can just go on with the story. And so these people gonna be handled accordingly for doing shit like that, because that would be very inhumane. And then also to let somebody go through this alone with nobody that understands, nobody wants to understand, because they don't want to get caught doing, or they don't want to get called out for what they've done. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot that we talking about, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a pause real quick because my mouth is dry. And I'm gonna come back and we're gonna watch this little clip and we're gonna discuss what I feel like they saying on there. It's no offense. I'm not coming at nobody. I'm just clarifying something. All right? And then we're gonna talk about the difference between the man and woman aspect, because I feel like that was my ancestors trying to protect their future generations from Deuteronomy 28, which is if you let them come in. Now some people already let these people come in and buy land. If we go back to what we was learning a couple years ago, they was never supposed to let nobody do that in the first place. So now that you did, they let other people in here on the land. They let this and that. Okay, now it's kind of like letting people into your household or something. And some of you didn't. Some of these people prodded or poked or snuck their way in. It's not your fault. They did that. Some people could have sweet talked their way in energetically, and then if they could have wrote new codes that once you connect to somebody on the telepathic, then they have access to you, or groups of people behind them have access to you. Okay? It's very stealth the way that they've done whatever they've done here. Okay? But there's nobody that can test me or try me or say I'm anything less than wisdom. I don't know why I was just thinking the number of his name, because they've duplicated everything. So I'm even just thinking African American, that term. Anyways, I'll be